Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Hope you've had a good week. Hope you'll have a good Shabbos. I will be away this Shabbos. We'll be away. So whether you are traveling or you will be here, wherever you are, I hope you'll have a good Shabbos, hopefully with family and friends. This week's Erev Shabbos video of our Torah is sponsored by Sybil and Steve Levison in memory of Steve's mother, Edith Levison, Rachel Bat Yona Aleh Shalom, whose yahrzeit will be observed on the 18th of Shvat. Her neshama should have an aliyah, and we thank Sybil and Steve for the sponsorship. Thank you very much. The Erev Shabbos videos of our Torah, as always, is meant to be especially a merit. All of us who are listening and thinking about these words of Torah merit for the hostages that remain in Gaza. Today is day 497 of their captivity, approaching 500 days. There are many questions in the air. Things are less stable than they were a week or two ago in terms of predicting future events, davening for them and their well-being, their immediate rescue or release, davening for all soldiers who are fighting and all of Israel. In this week's Parsha, we of course have Har Sinai, the Aseret Dibros, the Ten Commandments, and then after God speaks to the Jewish people and tells them, commands them of the Aseret HaDibra, the Ten Commandments, afterwards there's a short little paragraph at the very end of the Parsha which says, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe kosomar el bnei Yisrael, and God spoke to Moshe saying, and make sure to tell the Jewish people, this is now after they experienced the revelation at Har Sinai, and tell them, Atem re'isem ki min hashamayim dibarti mechem. See that I, Hashem, spoke to you from heaven. Lo sa'asun iti. Elohei chesef ve'elohei zahav lo sa'asu lechem. Do not make with me gods of silver and gold. Do not make graven images. Do not make idols. And the question is twofold. First of all, why is it necessary to repeat this prohibition? This was number 2 in the 10 Commandments. After I am the Lord who took you out of Egypt, then lo yelach Elohim acharim al panai. Do not have any other gods before me. Lo sa'aselecha pesach b'chol tzmina. Do not make a graven image or a picture. So why is this necessary? It seems to be a repetition. And the second question is, it actually seems to be a little bit different. In the Aseret Dibros, it says, Lo yelach Elohim acharim al panai. God says, do not have other gods before me, in my presence. And here the prohibition, God says, do not lo sasun iti. Elohei chesed Elohei zahav. Do not make with me gods of silver and gold. What is the difference? The Nesiv explains as follows. The Aseret HaDibrot, number 2, the prohibition there is a prohibition against believing in another God that takes the place of Hashem, the creator of all the universe. Do not begin to worship and see the sun god, the water god, the ocean god, the forest god, the mountain god as the God that is greater than the God of the Jewish people. Lo yelach Elohim acharim al panai. Do not make another God in my presence, meaning in my stead. However, after Har Sinai, God tells Moshe Rabbeinu, and tell the Jewish people a second point. Not only must they believe in me, not only shall they not believe and worship a different God instead of me, but lo sasun iti, Elohei chesed ve'elohei zahav. Do not make other gods with me. Do not make a graven image. Do not think that you are to worship me through some divine intermediary. Do not think that you are to worship me through some golden or silver god. Don't even make Lo Sasun 18 a God with me, even if they still believe in me, even if they know that I am the highest, most supreme God. You are not to worship me through another God. As an aside, the Nesiv has this creative comment that the gods of silver and gold correspond to the sun and the moon. Gods of gold were a reflection of the supposed divine being, the sun. Gods of silver were a reflection of the supposed divine beings of the moon. And Hashem is saying that there is nothing, no power in between me and you. You worship me directly. And that is why it follows the previous pasuk. Hashem says, Atem risem, you see, ki min hashamayim dibarti mechem. From heaven I spoke to you directly, God to the Jewish people, to every Jew who heard him. And similarly, you are to worship me. You are to speak to me. You are to daven to me directly, not through any intermediary, not through any graven image, not through any god, angelic being, or anything else. And both of these ideas were revolutionary, changed human civilization. First of all, of the Aseret Dibros, to believe that there's only one God, one being. Mind-blowing. That's not how people thought. That's not how people saw and experienced the world. But perhaps even more so, the second world history, human civilization changing idea was that this God, this most supreme God, creator of all, King of all kings of all kings. Every Jew, no matter how humble, no matter how educated, no matter how wealthy, no matter how old, can speak to him directly. The Jews were slaves. They were um, made to feel and to believe that they could barely speak directly to their master, much less a royal person or the pharaoh, the king. You don't have the right to speak to such a lofty individual. And yet, here the Torah is saying, Hashem is saying that I am the creator of all, I am the king of all, and you are to speak to me directly. Again, sounds like a simple idea. Of course, we know it on some level, but it really is a mind blowing idea that all of us just have this direct link and speak directly to the source of all existence, to God, to the King of all kings. We can speak to him directly wherever we are, whether we're in shul or at home or on the street. We can speak to him directly through the words of the sitter or in our own words. We don't even have to say the words out loud, although it is better in formal prayer, but in our heads, just our thoughts, and we are directly connected to him. He is that close to us. He is that available to us. And we should never think that we cannot speak to God. We should never think that he cannot hear our prayers. Again, no matter who, no matter when, no matter the situation, Lo sasun iti Elohei chesed Elohei zahav. There's no need for an intermediary. And this is what the Torah is stressing. Hashem is telling Moshe Rabbeinu, make sure the Jews understand this. That is the lesson of Har Sinai. Why did Hashem appear to the entire Jewish people? Why did he speak directly to every Jewish person? Was to teach every Jew at that time and every Jew who will ever live this lesson, that God speaks to us directly and we have the power to speak directly to him. We should never forget that. Have a good Shabbos and Shabbat Shalom.